The news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Thursday morning. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And those storms last night were something. All of a sudden, it got so dark right around 7 o'clock.
Yeah, a lot of lightning, a lot of strong winds, and again, a lot of damage reports, too, which we'll get to here in a minute. First, though, let's take a look at what you can expect today. So, the last few days have been extremely hot, extremely humid, and we had a lot of conditions basically favoring some storms to roll in, tap into that instability, and produce some very strong winds and heavy rain, thunder, and lightning. So what's in store for us today? Well, we are expecting some serious heat and humidity returning. This will likely be the warmest day of the week and the warmest day of the year thus far. We'll be looking at this heat index, especially closer to the afternoon, because these temperatures are going to look a lot different in about 5 or 6 hours. So look at the radar. We are dry currently. Zooming out, this is what's in store for us. So this is the jet stream, basically the top of this heat dome here, basically the current of rain showers passing over the southern Canadian area here. A lot of this rain and storm activity mainly staying north of the Mohawk Valley, but a couple stray thunderstorms could shift south. I don't expect today to be anywhere close to the storm potential on Tuesday and on Wednesday. But I think the big story today will be the heat. It feels like temperature rising once again over 100. We'll track that, plus that early preview of the 4th of July forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thank you. Last night's severe thunderstorms brought high winds and heavy rains to Oneida County and Otsego County. First, we want to show you some of the damage in New Hartford. Take a look at the damage right here. This is Oxford Road between Snowden Hill Road and Oneida Street. A tree just snapped right there, and this video was sent in by a viewer, Doug Croft. Then you can see another tree down leaning on the wires. Obviously, a lot of folks without power. Areas of Oxford, Snowden Hill Road, and Oneida Street, all seeing trees down. And more south in the town of Paris, also seeing multiple trees and wires down. And here's video from a tree down on Oneida Street in Chadwicks last night. This is across from the old Word of Life building. The storm took down power lines. Oneida Street was closed for quite a while, and needless to say, the Willowvale Volunteer Fire Department was stretched to its limits last night, answering calls. And then there was this. That is the sound of that roof unfolding right there. That's the Stanwix Heights Fire Department's fire station. Just after 7 last night, huge pieces of their metal roof blew off. No damage inside the firehouse, but as you can imagine, some minor leaking. The fire chief tells us that he is hoping the insurance company can cover the entire cost of the now needed repairs. And we are still following the severe weather that rocked the Weather Service out of Binghamton has ruled the damage caused in and around Pittsfield was due to an EF1 tornado. That tornado moved through Pittsfield, which is right by Edmiston and about 20 miles from Oneonta. The estimated wind speeds were between 100 and 110 miles per hour. The width and length is still being mapped out. Luckily, no reports of any injuries, but the lead meteorologist from Binghamton that we spoke with says this is the strongest tornado he's seen this year.
So the way we do damage surveys is that we go to all the points that we have damage. We find the direction that either a tree fell or if there's debris from a house that blew. We map it out, figure out what direction it fell. We look at the types of trees that are damaged, so that way we can figure out, like, all right, if it's a snapped pine tree, which is a software, it doesn't take as much wind as if it's a snapped maple tree.
The National Weather Service is always looking for reports of hail or high winds because that helps them figure out if they do need to go to survey any areas. And Eric just passed me this note right here as far as power outages right here in our area. Oneida County reporting 346, Herkimer County 194, and Otsego County the most right now with just over 800. Again, stay with News Channel 2 and WKTV.com for the very latest information on the storms over the past 2 days. Well, Adirondack Bank is now Arrow Bank. The bank.
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
A until 7 p.m.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Thursday morning. Time now 5:12. Here's a look at what we can expect with weather on the way for the rest of the week and most importantly into the weekend with the 4th of July coming up. So we look at the bigger picture here, the ring of fire that has provided us with a lot of storm activity on Tuesday and on Wednesday. This is basically the top edge of this ring here. Now, as we head into this evening, there's a brief window where we could see a stray thunderstorm, but the storm activity rather weak. Now, we're going to closely watch Friday because that could have some there should be a decent environment for storm activity there. But today, compared to the last few, a lot more quiet, but certainly still very hot and humid. How is the 4th of July shaping up, though? We look right here at the rainfall, which will likely be a rainy start to your 4th of July, but by the evening, it does look to dry up. So, my official change right now, it's going to rain early on Independence Day, and then we're going to see some drier weather in the afternoon. So we do have some good news on that forecast there. Plus, of course, more sunshine expected on Sunday. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Herkimer College hosted Herkimer County.
Know before they go. The Storm Tracker 2 bus stop forecast.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Until 8 p.m.
From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Today, we're going to be tracking some serious heat and humidity yet again. Before we get to that, though, I do want to show you guys the official path of the tornado that went through Otsego County. Now, just to clarify, the title there, I put in today's date. This took place on the 30th. So, the overall path extended from Pittsfield all the way down to Lawrence, or West Lawrence, and it started out in a tornadic cell here, EF0, EF1 winds. Started spreading out some of the winds there, and eventually, once the tornado started to weaken, there was a downdraft that produced a good amount of wind damage here out toward West Lawrence. So it was a combination of two different types of significant wind events. Either way, the peak winds were over 100 miles an hour, enough to cause the damage we saw in those pictures a few days ago. Early this morning, it's a lot quieter compared to yesterday and last night with all that storm activity. 66 the temperature, very humid conditions. We're going to see that dew point continue to rise again today as we are basically still on the northern edge of this heat dome. Unfortunately, being on the northern edge of a heat dome, we are basically in the ring of fire. You can just see, look at all this storm activity. Just gliding along this looks to be a conveyor belt of winds called the jet stream, and that's what has been our risk the last few days. We're just too close to it, and there's just so much instability and heat that these storms have significant fuel to work with, hence the nature of these strong storms. Today, we're not as high of a risk compared to yesterday's slight risk, level 2 out of 5. Today, level 1 out of 5 in the dark green. One of these stray storms could push south. Yes, it could turn severe, but at least for now, it doesn't look to be as significant or widespread as yesterday. Today we'll be climbing into the 90s. Feels like temperature will be well over 100 by the middle of the afternoon. Incredibly hot and humid, just like yesterday. Now today you see here lots of sunshine, maybe have the opportunity for a brief passing thunderstorm. You can see that passing south of Utica there. Will it pass south of Utica? Just depends on where these storms fire up. But again, very isolated today. Tomorrow we're going to watch, especially in the afternoon and evening, for these thunderstorms rolling through around 3 to 5 p.m. here. Heavy rain, thunder and lightning, strong, possibly damaging winds. Can't rule them out. Now, early preview again of this weekend. Here's Saturday morning for the 4th of July. Rain showers roll through. After that, look at this. We have some sunshine arriving for the evening, and it does look pretty dry overnight. So fireworks, very important on a day like the 4th, and I think for now it looks to be a pretty dry stretch there. So what's to follow for the rest of the first full week of July? Well, We'll be back down in the low 80s, upper 70s, maybe a storm chance here and there, but at least for now, we'll be getting out of this significant heat that we've been dealing with the last few days.
Yeah, let's hopefully 3 days in a row, no storms today.
Fingers crossed, Gary.
Yeah. Eric, thanks. Well, as Eric mentioned, the heat and humidity will be oppressive again today. You need to take some important steps to stay cool and hydrated. First, obviously, drink enough water. Also, stay in the shade if you must be outside. Better yet, stay inside in air-conditioned areas, especially during the hottest points of the day. Also, don't do any strenuous work or exercise in the heat. And, of course, dress accordingly. Also, listen to your body. It'll tell you when something is wrong.
As long as a person's perspiring or sweating, that's not good to have heat exhaustion, but once you have heat stroke, you actually stop perspiring or sweating, and that becomes very dangerous. You should seek medical attention immediately at that point in time.
The health director also wants to emphasize the very young, the very old, those with respiratory and other health conditions need to be extra careful in this heat and humidity. The time right now is 5:23, still ahead on and thank you for joining us for this half hour. It's going to be a hot one again today, but Eric, hopefully we won't see any more storms like we did last night, even the day before.
Yeah, at least thankfully today, the signals do point toward a less active storm day, but certainly, yes, the heat will be still in full force. Let's take a look right now at what you can expect today in your forecast in a minute. We begin with a look outside across the area and the temperature map here. We are starting out in the 60s, so slightly cooler than yesterday, but you can credit the intense rain that rolled through the Mohawk Valley yesterday for that slight decrease in temperature and humidity. But as quickly as it cooled down, it's going to quickly warm right back up again with this daytime heating today. The heat index right now, of course, we are still in the 60s, but you're going to see this number climb into the triple digits again as we head into the afternoon. Yorkville Battery Storm Tracker 2 radar. We are quiet currently. Now, as I zoom out, I want to show you guys what is currently taking place in the upper atmosphere. It's the jet stream, which is gliding or guiding, that is, these storms right along it. And basically, on the northern edge of this heat dome is where all the storm activity is, almost like a conveyor belt of storms if you see it. Now, yesterday and on Tuesday, these storms were dislodged south, but I think the jet stream today is a bit stronger, kind of barricading a lot of these storms in the north. Yes, there's some storm activity north of Utica, maybe in the Mohawk Valley, but it's an isolated storm chance, nothing like what we saw yesterday and on Tuesday. Either way, though, regardless, today's highs will be in the 90s, feels like temperature over 100. We'll track that heat, plus, again, some updates on that 4th of July forecast straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. And don't forget, the Storm Tracker 2 forecast is never more than 10 minutes away each morning. Well, the country turns to hope.
Before they go, the Storm Tracker 2 bus stop forecast.
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise on this Thursday morning. Today's photo of the day brings us into the skies. And if you have known me or have watched me for a little bit, you guys might know what my favorite clouds are. If not, then, well, you're learning right now. Look at this shot right here of a beautiful scene of mammatus clouds sent in by Kevin. And there were a lot of great submissions. Those of you also asking what these are. These are indications that usually a storm just rolled through and all that air that rose up is now starting to sink in these little pockets, which are still very saturated, which will give you these little bubble or just ridge-looking clouds that are sinking from way up in the sky. So you need a very unique circumstance to create these, which is why these are very rare clouds, and again, one of my favorites. So shout out to Kevin for this amazing photo. If you have one like that you'd like to send to us, go to WKTV.com/weather/pics. And as always, that photo and every photo every morning brought to you by GPO Federal Credit Union. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The Little Falls Public Swimming
Park's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Today, still tracking some high heat and humidity. Maybe some good news here, though. Storm activity will be lower compared to yesterday and on Tuesday. Here's a look, though, as a recap with the official confirmation of that tornado in Otsego County last night. This was a tornado that took place on Tuesday, and you can see the general path starting out near Pittsfield and then extending through closer to Morris, eventually ending up in West Lawrence. Now, this is a combination of two different types of wind events here. We got the tornadic winds, EF0 turning to an EF1, and then eventually at the very end, there was a downburst, basically producing a good amount of wind from that downdraft at the very end of that tornado. So, officially, winds around 100 miles an hour, a little bit more than that too, enough to cause the damage that was shared with us over the last couple of days. Today, though, starting out pretty quiet. A live look at downtown Utica. Temperature 67, very humid out today, and we're going to see that humidity continue to climb once more. So, the Ring of Fire, the unofficial name for these conveyors of storms basically moving to our north, will stay mostly to our north today, but we're going to track this possibility of a couple of these storms dislodging south. Now, today's storm risk, lower than yesterday's storm risk. We were at a level 2 yesterday, now we're at a level 1. So basically, it just means a stray storm or two could fire up, and it has a possibility of turning severe, just simply because of this. Look at the temperatures today, climbing into the mid-90s. That feels like temperature over 100, and it's all due to those dew points here, which will be in the 70s. This is a lot of fuel for storms to work with, hence why the storms are so significant the last few days. So today, lots of sunshine, maybe a stray shower or thunderstorm passing over us, but it's more of an outlier today compared to days past. Friday starts out pretty quiet, sunshine, highs climbing quickly, approaching near 90. And then we're watching in the afternoon for a couple of thunderstorms. These have the potential of turning strong to severe with some potentially strong, damaging wind gusts. We'll closely watch these storms in the afternoon Friday. After that, well, we do down a little bit overnight. Saturday, though, we have a couple of scattered thunderstorms early in the morning, and a few scattered showers in the late morning, early afternoon. But look at this, as we head closer to the evening, sunshine will move in, and it does look pretty dry heading overnight for, of course, all important.
It's up the news with Gary Liberatore and meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here on this Thursday. I'm Gary Liberatore.
And I'm Storm Tracker 2 meteorologist Eric Gage.
And boy, last night around 7 o'clock, I was in New Hartford going by the Village Green where the folks there were gathered for that concert, and they were running because it got dark quickly.
The skies got dark, the winds picked up, the rain came down heavy, and my goodness, it was quite a storm yesterday. Let's take a look, though, at what you can expect today, and for the most parts, in your forecast in a minute, it's going to be pretty quiet. Now, I do want to add some context to that. So, today we'll be starting out in the 60s. Thankfully, from all of that heavy rain yesterday, did bring down the humidity slightly, but it's going to rebound rather quickly in the next few hours. So here's a look at the heat index. This temperature here in about 6 hours, likely going to be over 100 degrees, if not near it. So another very hot and humid day. The radar right now looking pretty dry. Now, what happened yesterday and what happened on Tuesday, a couple of these storms from this ring of fire, we've been calling it, kind of swept its way south. Regardless, today the jet stream a little bit stronger. So the chances of some of these storms dislodging south into our area, a bit less likely. But as always, we're kind of treading this tightrope here when it comes to the possibility of storms forming and tapping into all this energy. So much heat, so much humidity, feels like temperatures today over 100 degrees. So for the most part, storm activity stays to the north, but we'll track that chance throughout the day today. Storm activity for your Friday, and then the all-important forecast for the 4th of July coming up in a few minutes. Gary?
Eric, thanks. The latest power outage numbers right now, Oneida County with 346, Herkimer 194, and Otsego County more than 800, some of those possibly due to Tuesday's storms that blew through there. So again, some people without power still this morning. Now, those severe thunderstorms brought high winds and heavy rains to Oneida County and Otsego County last night. First, let's show you some of the damage in New Hartford. Check this out right here. This is on Oxford Road between Snowden Hill Road and Oneida Street. A tree just snapped right there. This video sent in by a viewer, Doug Croft. Then you can see another tree right near there leaning on wires. Obviously, a lot of folks without power last night. Again, I just gave you those numbers this morning. Areas of Oxford, Snowden Hill Road, and Oneida Street seeing plenty of damage. And more south in the town of Paris, also seeing multiple trees and wires down. And here's video from a tree down on Oneida Street last night in Chadwick's. This is across from the old Word of Life building. This storm took down power lines all across the region. Oneida Street was closed for quite a while. Needless to say, the Willowvale Volunteer Fire Department was stretched to its limits last night, answering calls. And then there was this. That is the sound of that roof unfolding right there, and that's the Stanwix Heights Fire Department's fire station. Just after 7 last night, huge pieces of their metal roof blew off. No damage inside the firehouse, but as you can imagine, there are some major leaks. The fire chief tells us that he is hoping the insurance company can cover the entire cost of the now needed repairs. And we are still following the severe weather that rocked Otsego County on Tuesday. The National Weather Service out of Binghamton has ruled the damage was caused in and around Pittsfield by an EF1 tornado. That tornado moved through Pittsfield, which is right by Edmiston and about 20 miles from Oneonta. The estimated wind speeds between 100 and 110 miles per hour. The width and length of that tornado still being mapped out. Luckily, no reports of anyone being injured, but the lead meteorologist with the National Weather Service from Binghamton that we spoke with says this is the strongest tornado he's seen this year.
So the way we do damage surveys is that we go to all the points that we have damage. We find the direction that either a tree fell or if there's debris from a house that blew. We map it out, figure out what direction it fell. We look at the types of trees that are damaged, so that way we can figure out, like, all right, if it's a snapped pine tree, which is a software, it doesn't take as much wind as if it's a snapped maple tree. The other one was 220.
The National Weather Service is always looking for reports of hail or high winds because that helps them figure out if they do need to go to survey an area. Again, stay with News Channel 2 and WKTV.com for the latest information on these storms the past 2 days. Adirondack Bank.
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Happy Thursday, everybody. Today, we're taking a look at what you can expect with any notable weather impacts between now through the all-important July 4th weekend. Let's take a look right now at the bigger picture, where, again, we are basically on the northern edge of this heat dome, impacting a lot of the eastern half of the U.S. With us being on the northern edge, we're seeing a lot of these storms kind of travel right along, gliding along the jet stream right here. So the last few days, a couple of those storms dislodged south, produced a good amount of storm damage and even some heavy rain, thunder, and lightning. Today, not so much the case. The storm stayed to the north. We're tracking some storm potential heading into Friday evening and then again heading into Saturday morning. But following that, we got some good news when it comes to maybe some changes in the forecast for the 4th of July. It does look a bit drier closer to the evening. We can see that there. And of course, Sunday looking a lot drier as well. So some updates to the forecast. It might be a bit of a rainy start for Independence Day, but by the evening, it's looking to dry up, some sunshine, clear skies, hopefully no storms. This would be great for any fireworks that take place. And of course, we'll be continuing to track it, but for now, it's looking a lot nicer in the forecast compared to earlier this week. Gary?
Thanks. Herkimer College hosted Herkimer County's 4th of July.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Time now is 6:20. We're beginning today with a look back at the tornado damage that took place in Otsego County back on the 30th. This is the look at the official tornado path from the survey team from the Weather Service in Binghamton. It did strengthen from an EF0 to an EF1. It went from north to south, kind of glided along this path. Overall, the maximum width around 300 yards, and the path length a little over 8 miles. Now, as it got closer to West Lawrence, a tornado somewhat morphed into this downdraft that produced a swath of wind damage out toward the West Lawrence area. So it was a combination of both for the most part when it came to the type of damage. So that usually happens in some of these strong storms too. Not just tornado, not just straight line, kind of a mix of both. But either way, a look at downtown Utica. It is a quiet morning out there to start. Temperature at 67. Dew point is 66, so we are still tracking a very humid stretch of weather. As this conveyor belt of storms stay to our north, we're going to closely watch for anything that will shift its way south. But compared to the storm activity yesterday, as we look at our storm potential today, well, it's a bit less. Yesterday, we were already a yellow level 2 out of 5. Today, level 1 out of 5. Basically, a lot of the storm activity stays to the north with an isolated shot of a storm passing south. Today's highs will be in the 90s. Dew points will be in the 70s. So with that combination here, that feels like temperature will be well over 100 degrees. So as always, stay hydrated today and be sure to take it easy. And if you don't have to work outside or you don't have to do anything in the afternoon, I recommend holding off at least till the morning or the evening. So today's skycast, you can see here, showing a whole lot of nothing for the most part. Storm activity relatively inconsistent at all, but still, we're going to closely watch the radar as we watched yesterday and on Tuesday. Now, Friday starts out pretty quiet, so we're going to climb near 90 again. Now, in the afternoon, we're watching for the potential few clusters of storms firing up as that system moves its way eastward. And then overnight to Saturday morning, a couple of thunderstorms and showers to start your day. However, by noontime, still cloudy, maybe a stray shower. It's going to progressively dry up. By 5 to 6 p.m. on the 4th of July, it is going to be sunnier and drier, and it looks pretty dry heading overnight for any of you who want to watch so many fireworks displays. So again, this weekend, I can tell you right now, it's starting out a bit rainy and unsettled for Saturday, slowly clearing out. Lots of sunshine on Sunday, so the weekend not too bad. And then Monday, a few storms to track here, high is 79. And then next week, saying goodbye to that intense heat. Highs only in the 80s, so I mean, here we're saying that only in the 80s. Yeah. So already a big difference there. And again, just today, make sure you stay cool and hydrated because it is going to be incredibly hot.
That's for sure. This heat wave just keeps going.
Today and tomorrow.
Eric, thanks. Well, as Eric mentioned, the heat will be oppressive again today, and you do need to take some important steps to stay cool and hydrated. First, drink enough water. Also, stay in the shade if you must be outside. Better yet, stay inside and air conditioning, especially during the hottest points of the day. Also, don't do any strenuous work or exercise in the heat. And of course, dress appropriately. And listen to your body. It'll tell you when something's wrong. And be sure to like us. Good morning once again, and thank you for joining us for this half hour. It's going to be another hot one again today, but Eric, let's hope we don't see any more storms like we did last night. Those were pretty severe.
Yeah, lots of strong, significant winds the last few days. Today, well, it looks a little quieter, but we're still tracking some of that heat. Let's take a look at that forecast in a minute, where we first begin with a look at the latest temperatures right now, which are starting out in the 60s. Lots of sunshine early today. Now, the heat index still in the 60s. We're going to see this number climb into the triple digits in about, let's say, less than 6 hours. So make sure you are prepared for the heat yet again today. As of now on the radar scans, it's looking pretty quiet. I zoom out a little bit, and what we're watching is anything getting dislodged from basically this conveyor belt of the jet stream. You have all these storms gliding along it, and as long as the jet stream maintains this position, it kind of acts as a barrier, preventing these storms from sweeping south. But an isolated storm, I don't think can be ruled out entirely, mainly in the thruway corridor in north. So just a heads up for that, because still today we have incredible heat and humidity, and these storms could tap into that and produce strong to possibly a severe storm or two. So today, again, it's hot and humid, highs in the 90s, feels like temperature over 100. We're going to talk about that storm potential and again do a recap of the tornado that took place in Otsego County and what to expect for the 4th of July straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Our country does turn 250.
All the excitement of
This live look of downtown Cooperstown is brought to you by the Leatherstocking Credit Union.
Welcome back. It's 6:41 on this Thursday morning, and after a very busy weather day yesterday and a lot of storms came in, one of the unique circumstances following some of these storms is you get a unique cloud structure. And there were a lot of great photo submissions of this. Some of you asking, what are these clouds? Now, these are one of my favorites, simply because for one of the rarity, and two, they just look cool, don't they? These are called Mattis clouds. This was sent in by Kevin, and you can see, of course, these look as if the sky is sinking, little bubbles falling from the sky. That's simply because when storms roll through, all that moist air gets lifted way up into the sky, these tall thunderstorm clouds, and as they pass, that moisture still lingers way up in the atmosphere, and when the atmosphere stabilizes, that air, still saturated, starts to sink in little pockets, and that's how you get those little bubble-looking clouds falling from the high atmosphere, which is, again, a rare sight to see, but nonetheless, a very cool one. If you have a photo like this you'd like to share with us, go to wktv.com/weather/pics. That photo and every photo every morning brought to you by GPO Federal Credit Union. Gary?
Eric, thanks. We are hearing for the first time
New York's most dependable weather team. Here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good morning, everybody. Today we are tracking yet another very hot and very humid day. Before we get to that, though, I do want to share with you guys some information regarding the tornado confirmation in Otsego County on the 30th. Take a look at the path here. This is the official path now that has been released by the Weather Service in Binghamton. And let's talk statistics here. The rating between EF0 and EF1, it is strengthened EF1 rating. Peak wind 105 miles an hour, path length 8.39 miles, path width 300 yards. It started right around the Pittsfield area and then extended out toward West Lawrence before the tornadic damage ended, and we had basically a blast of wind from the downdraft produce significant wind damage in the West Lawrence area. So it was a combination of two separate significant wind events all compiled into one, which isn't uncharacteristic. A lot of storms will carry multiple different types of wind, and that, of course, seemed to have been the case here on the 30th. Downtown Utica this morning, it's a quiet start, lots of sunshine, 67 the temperature. Dew point still slightly cooler compared to yesterday morning, but we're going to see that rise very quickly. The radar and satellite picking up on that conveyor belt of thunderstorms right north of our area. Now, for the most part, these will stay to the north. However, if we zoom in here, this is our storm risk today. Not as widespread or as significant as yesterday's slight risk, or level 2 out of 5, but dark green here means a stray storm or two could fire south into, say, the Mohawk Valley or slightly north. That could tap into that instability. So I'm not ruling anything out today by any means, but it looks, for the most part, to be much quieter compared to yesterday. So we're in the 90s this afternoon. Dew points will be in the 70s. Very hot, very humid. Feels like temperature over 100 degrees. So, as always, stay cool, stay hydrated, and avoid strenuous activities if you're able to until the evenings, or keep it to the mornings. Today, lots of sun. Of course, you have that stray thunderstorm chance this afternoon. You can see them firing up here briefly. After that, though, it does look pretty quiet overnight. Friday, we're tracking the possibility of a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. We're going to watch these. There's a decent risk for them tomorrow evening that could be strong to possibly severe. After that, let's talk Saturday. Most importantly, a couple of scattered thunderstorms in the morning, and eventually a few spotty showers and clouds. It's going to clear up as we head closer to 3, 4, 5 p.m. with more sunshine. So, as a recap, the 4th of July will start out a little damp, cloudy. Eventually, sunshine works in. We'll be seeing, for the most part, clear skies and dry weather for any fireworks displays Saturday evening. And then Sunday is looking pretty quiet. And next week, it's a cool down in the 70s, or 70s and 80s, Gary. So no longer seeing some intense heat like we're seeing today and tomorrow.
Yeah, let's hope we don't have a repeat of last night's storms today.
Yeah, keep a close eye on it, Gary.
Eric, thank you. Well, it is a great day.
News with Gary Liberatore.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Many here in the Mohawk Valley are cleaning up today after last night's violent storms took down trees and power lines. It's our top story here on this Thursday afternoon. Now, this is Oxford Road between Snowden Hill Road and Oneida Street this morning. Severe thunderstorms brought high winds and heavy rain to parts of Oneida County and Otsego County as well. And some of the worst damage was here in this area over New Hartford, about a mile east of the center of the village. This morning, we spoke to a man cleaning up who talked about how frightening it was when the skies went dark and the wind started to swirl around 7 last night.
It was brutal. I've never seen it rain so hard. It just kept raining. We've got trees that are down. As you can see, the trees over there and the trees over here, they just snapped right in half and just came down all night long. But in the road, they had crews working all night, working on the roads, clearing the roads out.
Boy, a lot of cleanup to do there, and I was in that area at the same time last night. It got dark quick and those winds were whipping. Luckily, no one was hurt. Meteorologist Eric Gage joining us now. And Eric, it might not have been a tornado like Tuesday's declaration down in Otsego County, but it was pretty strong last night.
Yeah, a lot of wind damage reported, a lot of trees down, power lines down. And again, right now we're still looking at some of the damage. Feel free to send your photos of the damage to our Facebook page, our WKTV Weather Facebook page. We're in contact with the Weather Service in Binghamton. Again, we just think it's more or less just consistent wind, straight line wind damage, but never hurts to get more photos of what took place in mainly this area here of central New York. So, what's in store for us today? Well, obviously, we are still under that excessive heat warning. Temperatures on paper in the upper 80s, 91 in Syracuse. The feels-like temperature in the mid-90s already in Rome, over 100 in Dansville, and down in Poughkeepsie. So this is pretty much going to be the story today, an incredibly hot and humid one. A bit more on the dry side, though. You see here we got lots of blue skies. Still, radar looking pretty quiet. I zoom out for a second here. You can kind of see basically where that jet stream is trying to keep these storms at bay to our north. Now, I'm not ruling out a storm entirely today, mainly in the thruway corridor and north, heading closer to the evening. But compared to yesterday and on Tuesday, the storm chance is much lower. So, again, after a warm start this morning, already peaking in the mid-90s, we're going to be tracking, of course, more storm potential, mainly tomorrow, and a preview of that 4th of July forecast straight ahead. Gary.
Eric, thanks. There was plenty of other damage from last night's storms. This is video from a tree down on Oneida Street in nearby Chadwick's. This is across from the old Word of Life Church building. Now, the storm took down power lines. Oneida Street was closed, and needless to say, the Willowvale Fire Department was stretched to its limits last night answering calls. And this is the Stanwix Heights Fire Department's fire station right here. Just after 7 last night, huge pieces of their metal roof blew off. No damage inside the firehouse, but as you can imagine, some minor leaking. The fire chief tells us that he is hoping the insurance company can cover the entire cost of the now needed repairs. Well, brand new this noon, a Madison County man is under arrest after police.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's meteorologist Eric Gage.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am joined by a special guest here, someone you might have recognized his face here, meteorologist Rich Lupia in the Weather Center, giving us a quick topic about the heat today.
Yes, absolutely. The heat is definitely building. It's already 87 degrees out there, and in some parts of upstate New York, it's already near 90. As a matter of fact, you head down to New York City, it's already up to 100 degrees and climbing. Already 91 in Syracuse, 90 in Albany, 91 in Dansville, 96 already in Poughkeepsie. And when you factor in the humidity, it makes it feel that much hotter. That's the heat index. And that's why we have the extreme heat warnings in effect. That's because it's going to feel like it's 100, 105, at times close to 110 degrees. That's the reason why.
Yes, thank you, Rich. And again, this is why those warnings are issued. And a reminder, in this high heat and humidity, you want to make sure you guys stay hydrated. Make sure you don't do strenuous activities in all this high heat. And as we head throughout the afternoon, we're going to see those temperatures continue to climb. Now, aside from the temperatures, let's talk storm risk here. So there is some good news along the what we have called the ring of fire here, basically this line of storms here. Notice how it tried shifting south, it kind of fell apart. So for the most part, this jet stream's kind of holding up. But when we head into the afternoon and mainly closer to the evening, we're going to watch for a couple stray storms rolling here into the Mohawk Valley, maybe a bit north. Not as widespread as yesterday or even on Tuesday, but still that storm possibility is there. You can see the risk zone here, marginal, 1 out of 5 risk in the dark green zone. So not as significant as yesterday, but we're going to closely watch what takes place heading into tomorrow. You can see the slight risk, level 2 out of 5 for severe weather. Again, strong, possibly damaging winds are the biggest concern. So today, not a whole lot of activity, but again, watch out for those stray thunderstorms this evening. They could pack a punch. Tonight, we're looking pretty quiet, overnight lows in the 60s and 70s. Tomorrow, it's going to be hot and humid, maybe not quite as hot as today, but I mean, we're basically varying by 5 to 10 degrees here, so it's still going to be very hot and humid. And of course, a few clusters of storms in the evening. These are the ones we're going to watch. Now, most importantly, we've got that 4th of July forecast here. And so, again, we've got that rain shower chance coming in the morning, clouds to start. It might be a bit damp for the morning, but watch what happens in the evening. The front rolls through, sunshine moves in. It's a sunny end of the day and a clear night for some fireworks. Your 7-day forecast, as you see right here, we've got 70s and 80s on tap for next week. So at least for now, we have some drying conditions for the next few days here. So most importantly, though, Gary, we have lower humidity on the way too, slightly lower humidity compared to this week. And so, again, thanks to Rich here for giving us a lesson on heat index.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah, you brought it up from South Carolina, didn't you?
Yeah, of course I did.
guys know how
and
heat
I'm
is
going to
down
be
there.
bringing it back within a couple of days.
Wow, it's awesome to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, glad you're doing so well.
Take care.
Rich Lupia. The record meteorologist Eric Gage joining us now. And Eric, you have some new details about that tornado that was determined to be an EF1, right?
Yeah, EF1 tornado in Otsego County. Moved from north to south on Tuesday.
And it got pretty wide, right?
Yeah, that's a width of around 300 yards.
Wow.
So it's a very large area of damage. In fact, let's take a look at this path here. It spanned for around 8.3 miles. And you can see the start point out near Pittsfield, just east of New Berlin, heading south, closer to Morris along Route 23 here, between Route 51, eventually ending in West Lawrence. Now, I'm going to go off screen here. I'm going to zoom in this second because I want to show you guys what we're looking at. So we have a couple icons here. Now, there's different triangles and different circles. So what you see here, these individual little triangles, you can make them out on your screen, different recordings of damage from tornadoes. Now, these circles indicate non-tornadic damage. This was more of a downburst that took place once the tornado kind of lifted. This is basically an explanation of storms can always have a mix of both winds. It doesn't have to be just straight line or just tornadic, and that was the case in Otsego County. Back to the forecast. Right now, it's very warm, very humid. Highs in the 80s right now. Temperatures, feels like temperatures in the 90s with still plenty of sunshine, but we're going to closely watch that radar because for now it's dry. In a few hours, maybe a couple of stray thunderstorms. We'll track those plus what follows for the rest of the week straight ahead. Gary?
Eric, thanks. Multiple cases of a diarrhea-causing parasite have been.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired.
Good afternoon. We are in alert mode again today just simply due to the high heat and humidity, which are now reaching levels that are basically to the point where you want to limit your strenuous activity outdoors if need be. We're talking, feels like temperatures getting close to, if not over 100 degrees. Now, again today, we're just watching the risk for some of these storms. I know a lot of you guys might be on edge after the storms on Tuesday and on Wednesday, but today's risk not as high. Still though, we're going to watch this ripple in the atmosphere right here as it shifts its way eastward, heading closer to the evening time frame. Again, maybe a couple stray thunderstorms. The main thing is sudden downpours, thunder and lightning, and the non-zero chance for that potential wind damage here due to that very high instability in the atmosphere. For now, though, things are pretty dry. We look at the risk for strong storms. This has just been updated literally within the last few minutes. It looks like the highest risk for storm potential today has since receded more to the north. I mean, that's good news just based off of the data. It didn't look too concerning, but still, some of these storms might survive beyond that stretch. Just make sure you're weather aware later in the day today. Tomorrow, we got to closely watch this system rolling through, which has the potential of producing level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. The biggest concern with this, again, strong, possibly damaging winds. I'm more focused on the potential tomorrow than the risk today, which today mainly focusing on the heat and humidity. So on our Skycast, you see here the activity is relatively isolated this evening. A stray thunderstorm here and there. After tonight's overnight lows fall into the 60s and 70s. It's still very hot and humid tomorrow. Just maybe not quite as hot as today, but I mean, we're talking a difference of maybe 5, 7, 8 degrees. It's still very hot and humid tomorrow, nonetheless. Now, as we progress into the evening here, we've got to watch the possibility of a couple of these scattered thunderstorms rolling through as they strengthen, moving south and east toward the southern tier. We'll keep a close eye on that. Then overnight into Saturday morning, we got a couple scattered showers to start your 4th of July. You're wondering, well, is it going to be a rainy one? Well, mainly for the morning, sporadic showers here and there. By the afternoon, we're going to see some sunshine slowly move in. By 6 p.m., it's a clear evening. And better yet, it looks pretty dry for fireworks. So if you guys have any plans for the 4th of July, well, you've got some dry weather for the evening and overnight, as Sunday not looking too bad as well. We're going to see temperatures climbing into the mid-80s, 70s for Monday with some showers and storms. Next week, though, we're saying goodbye to all that high heat and humidity. So after this heat wave today and tomorrow, Gary, it does look like more normal summer temperatures arrive for the first full week of July.
Feel like winter.
Yeah, feel like a big cool down on the way.
Eric, thanks. Well, now to the final countdown to one.
News with Kristen Copeland.
We're going to have an update on the heat and the heat index, definitely a headline. But first, a lot of cleanup today after a wicked storm last night. And shout out to all of my neighbors who have been out there working the cleanup while I had to be here at work. My neighborhood was hit pretty hard last night, and we were not alone. Not a job for the faint of heart. If the trees didn't come down in the wind, they were brought down by utility crews before the branches fell on even more power lines. This is video from along Oxford Road in New Hartford. Severe thunderstorms hit fast and hard in Oneida and Otsego counties especially.
It was brutal. I've never seen it rain so hard. It just kept raining. We've got trees that are down. As you can see, the trees over there and the trees over here, they just snapped right in half and just came down all night long.
I have to thank National Grid. After the wires were ripped clean off my house, they worked all night to restore the power and my air conditioning. I was in awe of the swift response by grid crews and first responders. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And in case you missed this video last night, the metal roof peeled off the Stanwix Heights Fire Department in the wind. No damage inside the firehouse, but as you can imagine, there was some leaking. The fire chief tells us he's hoping insurance can cover the entire cost of the now needed repairs. So let's get you caught up on the forecast and, kind of looking back at what happened, but what's to come. It is hot out.
It is hot. Thankfully, we're getting kind of a break from the storms for now. Unfortunately, it does look like we may be dealing with more of them tomorrow. Will they play out exactly like what we dealt with yesterday? No, they'll be in a different way. We'll talk more about that. To the north we go tonight. There are some storms that are across northern New York. These are going to move to the east. So in the immediate future, things look relatively quiet, but we are going to continue to be on guard because it's not going to take much to create an isolated pop-up storm this evening or tonight. 94 degrees, feels like 103. It's still incredibly hot and humid and very difficult to work outdoors with all the cleanup. Definitely something you want to do in the evening time and not in the middle of the day if you can help it. High heat and humidity continues. Storm chances ahead. Specifically tomorrow afternoon we're watching. We do have some cooler weather on the way as we head into early next week. Some relief in sight. It's going to be a hot and very humid evening. Temperatures will be in the upper 80s. Again, we're tracking a few thunderstorms possible for tomorrow. Look at the forecast coming up. Kristen, back to you.
Families in Waterville came together.
The WKTV Tower Cam is brought to you by the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired. From Central New York's most dependable weather team, here's Chief Meteorologist Bill Curtis.
Day 2 of this heat wave. We have another hot day tomorrow before things start to get less intense in terms of the heat and humidity. Live look in downtown Utica. Again, it's just been a very hot day. Thankfully, it's been relatively quiet. We really haven't seen much activity on the radar. We are watching it closely. There's a few things to point out. To the north, you can see this complex of thunderstorms. This is heading into northern New York. This is going to be even north of Old Forge, so we'll watch that. There's another complex of storms that's north of Buffalo, and again, this would end up going to our south. It's in between here because what is happening is these storms are being generated along a very, very weak boundary, and it is possible that there could be a few that fill in between these two rounds. It is next to impossible to tell exactly where, when, and if that could happen, but that's something I'll be watching here over the next several hours. So we'll call it an isolated risk. I think if there's going to be a few, it's going to be one or two. Or it may end up being a pretty quiet evening. So we'll be watching that. Last night, many of you saw these type of clouds, and for many of you, it was the first time you saw them. These are called the Mattis clouds. It happens on the backside of a thunderstorm. This is just an epic photo. You can see the Saranac Brewery on the bottom here. This was taken by Mark yesterday evening as those storms rolled through. These clouds, by the way, happen on the backside of the storm from sinking air, the downdraft side of a storm. So again, usually this is when things are moving out, you'll see those clouds. It also signifies strong storms too. You don't usually see those clouds unless the storms are really, really strong like they were yesterday. This is the current air temperature, 94 degrees at Griffiths and Rome, 103 the air temperature in Poughkeepsie. Again, just a very hot day. The heat index, 103 in Rome, 108 in Poughkeepsie. That's the highest in the state. Albany not too far behind, 107. I mean, at this point, when you get over triple digits, it really doesn't make a difference, a degree or two here or there. Severe weather risk is on the table tomorrow. It's in the Mohawk Valley and Southern Valleys. Looks like a few storms could fire up in the afternoon. A reminder, quick way to get weather information on the go is to download our Storm Tracker 2 weather app. As we look at the bigger picture, again, we are on the top of this heat dome, and it will start to slide southward, which means we're back into what we call the ring of fire. It's a very active pattern of storms. We've been seeing it for the past couple of days. Looks like our next chance of getting into this is going to be tomorrow. Storm Tracker 2 skycast tonight. Overnight lows will be in the low 70s, a very humid night. Tomorrow, there's going to be the chance of a pop-up shower storm, and it's going to be the late afternoon to early evening. Gusty winds, locally heavy rain is possible. Again, we'll be keeping an eye on that. A chance of a storm tonight, low chance, low of 72. Tomorrow, the risk is a little bit higher. Scattered storms in the afternoon and evening, and another hot day, a high of 93. Storm Tracker 2 7-day forecast. I think we are dry for fireworks on the 4th of July. Just the chance of a storm. It looks like earlier in the day. Sunday, partly sunny, 84. 75 with rain on Monday. I know some of you will be looking forward to that. Not me, but some of you will.
Wait, that's the last, well, one of the last Go the Distance meetings, too. So will that be a welcome?
I think they'll like it, yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, Bill, thank you. All right, how about this story? You got to watch this. An Adirondack high